What's up everyone, it's Sinistry, and today I am here to discuss the new information we received about Splatoon 3 from the recent Direct. Now I am so excited about this game, and I really am looking forward to diving into the Direct, giving my predictions and my hopes. And if you like this kind of content, make sure to leave some comments down below about your own thoughts and your own predictions, and give it a like and subscribe so I know that you want me to continue making this kind of content. I am so looking forward to covering Splatoon 3 more in depth once the game is out, but for now, let's just jump in and talk about all of the different aspects of Splatoon 3. And just so you know, if you aren't really interested in everything, you can skip around to different chapters. I will have the timestamps down in the description as well. So without further ado, I want to jump in and talk about the weapons of Splatoon 3. Now, just starting out, all of the basic weapons from the previous games will be in Splatoon 3. So if there is a type of weapon that you like to play with, guaranteed there should be at least one type of that weapon in Splatoon 3. Now, this is, I guess, a little concerning for some people because they haven't confirmed any other variations of weapons. I know that that is concerning because maybe your favorite won't be in the game, but I will say they are going to be implementing more updates and adding in more weapons through, I believe, at least the end of 2023, if not even longer. So I would say there's plenty of time for them to add in everybody's favorite weapons. I don't know that they'll have all of the weapons in the game, but I do think that they'll have a vast majority of the most popular ones, and they will of course make sure that they're balanced with the game. If there are some that are like super unbalanced or just not really that popular, they might choose to leave them out. But I wouldn't really give up hope if you do like, you know, one of the later versions of like dualies or the splat roller or anything like that. I'm sure that they will be bringing over a lot of variations from those older games. In addition, there are two new weapon types that are going to be in Splatoon 3. So the first one is the Stringer, and the Stringer is a bow which can be used, I think, very offensively. I don't think it's going to be a super huge, you know, inking kind of weapon, so I would definitely say this is great if you want to be right in the midst of the action, and especially if you want to kind of counter people who come out with very close range weapons. I think this will be maybe a mid-range weapon. Of course, there's potential for it to be long range or short range, depending on maybe some variations. But I do think it's going to be a really nice mix somewhere in the middle between like an ink brush and a charger, where you don't have to be, you know, right up close to somebody, but you also don't like get the opportunity to be halfway across the map and still get someone. So I think this is going to be a super fun kind of weapon to have in the game, and it'll add a new play style, and I'm just super interested in trying it out. I think that this could really be my offensive weapon of choice, and I'm so looking forward to trying it in the new game. The next weapon type is Splatanas, and Splatanas, I'm not really sure how to feel about them. They seem actually a little more like a mixture of the charger and ink brush in that you can splat people from kind of far away. Again, it's more of a like up close to mid-range kind of weapon from what I'm seeing, but it does look like there is a little more inking potential with this, so I think that it could be better if you're maybe more of a like offensive and defensive mixture kind of player, but you still like to be in the action. Now, I'm not really sure how good it is at either inking or splatting, and again, there will probably be different variations where some might be better at one or the other, but I am just very interested to see how this turns out, and I think it is so funny that they brought a sword to a gunfight. I honestly think that's just hilarious in and of itself and makes me want to try it regardless, but I probably will not be playing with this all that often because it does look like you have to be super accurate with your hits. Otherwise, you might not be splatting people, so good luck to everybody out there who likes to play with Splatanas. If you're a charger main and you want to try something new, maybe this is a good weapon for you. So in addition to the main weapons that they discussed, they also mentioned a bunch of special weapons that will be available, both new and returning. So I want to dive in and talk first about the Tacticooler, which I think could potentially be a really good meta special weapon. Now, personally, I think that this would be best used on a very enclosed map where maybe you won't get as much bang for your buck with something like a Booyah Bomb or even Missiles or Ink Armor. It could be a really great kind of special to just, give people a boost passively without having to like rely on inking the right part of the stage. Whereas, in a lot of stages, they're very open, and so you can kind of just, set off your special wherever, and it doesn't really matter. You're still going to get a lot of use out of it. In some of the enclosed maps, they're a little bit trickier, I guess, to get your bang for your buck. So I do think that Tacticooler is going to be a really great option for when those maps are in rotation. Now, on the other hand, I don't know how I feel about the Wave Breaker. Personally, I think that in a lot of maps it's not going to be super useful, because if I saw a Wave Breaker, I would just avoid it. Like, that's really all it comes down to. I would just not even go in the radius of it so that I don't have a chance of getting, splatted or injured at all, so that I don't have the little radar thing pop up on me and give my location away. I just would completely avoid it, and I don't even know that I would use it as an offensive player, because really, unless you have a very tight map, like there are some, but if you have like a wide open map, there's no use for it. If you have a really tight map, you could put it in a very congested area, and I guess you could get some benefit out of it. But personally, I don't think we're going to see this one all that often unless it's, paired up with some really, really great weapons. Personally, I'm going to try to avoid it, I think, as much as possible. Now, a special that I am so looking forward to is the Reef Slider. I think that this is going to replace Splashdown and Baller because it's a very similar mechanic, but I feel like it's kind of a tweaked and slightly better version of both of these. So essentially, the Baller, you could kind of roll like halfway across the map almost on certain maps, and then just splat a particular area. And the Splashdown, you had to really time perfectly and make sure that you didn't get splatted midair, which sometimes was very hard to do. So I think the Reef Slider is going to be like the best of both worlds, or kind of a middle ground, where you can still have some movement, but you don't get so much movement that you can kind of like go anywhere. It's going to be a little more limited, and you're going to have to use it more strategically, just like the Splashdown. But it's not going to be, I think, as easy to get splatted as Splashdown. I could be wrong, but Splashdown, like, man, there are so many times when I've been right in the middle of the animation, I just get splatted, and it's like, cool, I just used my special for nothing. That was great. And I think that, other people probably have had that issue too, and I'm sure they wanted to kind of tweak things and make it a little bit easier to get your specials off. So personally, I think that this will be a nice kind of middle ground for both of these very similar specials, which I don't think are going to be back in Splatoon 3. Now, my reasoning for saying that I don't think these are going to be back in Splatoon 3 is because they did actually announce the returning specials, and Baller and Splashdown were not a part of them, so I don't think that they are just going to sneak them in there. They did actually announce that the returning ones are Missiles, Ink Storm, Ink Jet, Ultra Stamp, and Booyah Bomb. And I think generally these are fine for the most part to bring over. I mean, they're probably some of the most popular ones, so I think that it makes sense. One thing though that I do want to ask the Splatoon team to please change is please make the Booyah button for like the Booyah Bomb when you're supposed to do down on the D-pad, please make that a different button, because it's kind of a pain to have to like reach down or reach across or like do some kind of other weird thing just to hit that button. And I like to contribute to the Booyah Bomb, so please make it a Z button or something. That would be better. I don't want to, be frustrated for a whole other game when I spent all of Splatoon 2 frustrated every time a teammate had a Booyah Bomb, which sometimes seemed to be like every 10 seconds. So please make this change. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure other people would too. And that's basically everything I have about weapons, so I want to jump over into discussing shops. I don't want to discuss every single shop way in depth, so we're just going to make some notes about some updates or new shops. And starting off, we're going to talk about Ammo Knights. So Ammo Knights is the weapons shop, which is run by Sheldon. You may know him as the guy who doesn't ever stop talking. I don't know if you can skip his very long rambles or if he will even ramble as much in this game, but what I do know is there is a new currency called Sheldon licenses, which can be used to buy weapons. Personally, I think this is a great change. It really rewards people for getting really good with certain weapons and for trying out new weapons as well as leveling up. So it really makes the grind a little more meaningful. And I like that you can, use the other currency to buy, your outfits and all of those other items, but you can use the Sheldon licenses to buy weapons, which feels a little bit more balanced because now you don't have to choose between one or the other with the same currency. You can really, try to make the best out of both currencies. And I think that it'll just allow you to kind of scale up your abilities and also match outfits to different weapons and do things like that a little more, I guess, cohesively. Whereas in let's say Splatoon 2, I kind of felt like I just always wanted to buy the newest weapons and I neglected my outfits quite a lot, and I think that might have hurt me as a player. So I think this is a very welcome change. Something else that I love is the Sheldon licenses can be used to unlock weapons that are actually above your level, which I think is super awesome because there have been so many times starting off in Splatoon 2, and just as a heads up, I had to start off Splatoon 2 a second time on my OLED because I didn't transfer over my data, and I just decided to restart it. It's so annoying at the beginning of the game when you don't have all the weapons you want. And so I really would love to, see some of my favorite weapons come back in Splatoon 3. And if I have to pay some, extra licenses just to get them, I'm okay with that. I would be totally fine with that. I think a lot of people would be. And so I am very glad that they made this change so you're not just locked at the lower levels forever. You can really start to make some good progress even early on in the game. Also, as kind of a side note, I'm really glad that they allow you to save outfits with weapons as kind of presets, because obviously there are different abilities that suit different weapons better. I think it's just going to be a lot easier than having to make sure that you find the exact right shirt and shoes and headgear and all that kind of stuff for whatever weapon you're going to. And especially if you like to switch back and forth pretty frequently, I think it's going to be a really nice change for people who just kind of like to switch it up. Okay, now on to Hotlantis. So I'm not really going to talk about the lockers yet. We'll talk about that later. But I really love Hotlantis. I think it's so cute to have kind of a merch shop where you can, buy it looks like plushies and stickers and all kinds of cute things. And you know what? I love Harmony. You can say whatever you want about her. You can say she looks creepy. You can say she looks like she may be on a substance of some sort. I think she's adorable. I love her little makeup or whatever it is. Personally, I think she's super cute and aesthetic, and I love Harmony. So I will definitely be looking forward to seeing her at Hotlantis and also buying some cute things there. And I really can't wait. I don't have a lot to say. I'm just excited to see, more shops open up and see more things that we can do within Splatoon. My last, piece of commentary for shops is regarding Splatnet 3. I'm going to dive into some more Splatnet 3 stuff later, but I think it's a little bit weird or goofy that they're going to have limited items within Splatnet that you have to have a phone for or a tablet or something. I don't know. I get that they want people to download the app, but it kind of feels forced. And I don't know that I would have downloaded the app just for this. But I guess with some of the other features, it's okay, I can justify doing that. It doesn't cost anything. It's just kind of annoying, I guess, more than anything. And I hope it's not a pain to link accounts because I don't think I've ever used the Nintendo app, to be completely honest. So I just really hope that it's very simple and that I can, buy my little limited items and everything will be good. I just am curious to see how that works. Also, another thing about Splatnet versus, I guess, Hotlantis, I don't know where they're going to put, crossover items. That's something that kind of popped into my mind. If they do a Pokemon crossover, are they going to have, plushes of the starters at Hotlantis? Are they going to have them at Splatnet? Because I think Splatnet is just outfits, but I'm not totally certain. That's just something that I want to keep an eye on and make sure that I don't like accidentally miss out on some really good items because they were only on the phone app and I only open it like once every 3 months when they update it. So just something to keep in mind. I would recommend, I guess, getting the app too, just in case you don't want to miss out on anything. And I'm sure you'll have like cool benefits and stuff for doing so. Next up, let's talk about the different stages in the game. So I'm not really gonna dive into every stage in depth because personally, this would take quite a long time and we didn't really see a whole lot of the stages. We've seen footage, we've seen screenshots and things like that, but we haven't really seen everything in depth enough that I can necessarily give a lot of commentary. But I will say that I think all of the new stages look really cool, and I'm very happy that they're going to bring over some Splatoon 1 stages, because I never played Splatoon 1. I'm sure a lot of people who will get Splatoon 3 have never played Splatoon 1. I was super excited to see the Splatoon 1 stages and see them more in depth, because I am not familiar with them at all. I do not know the meta of them. I do not know the layouts. I don't know anything. So I'm definitely gonna watch some videos about them. But personally, I was very thrilled to see a wide variety of stages. Also, I do want to say, as far as Splatoon 2 stages go, because I know them really well, I feel like I'm kind of 50-50 on which ones I love and which ones I don't love that they're bringing over, but I feel personally offended that Moray Towers is not coming over and people are happy about this. That is like one of my ultimate stages for my particular playstyle, which I mean, I don't know that I've ever mentioned my playstyle, but it's basically go in with a splat roller, get really far to the other side, splat anybody I encounter, and then work my way back. And that works really well on Moray Towers, and it does not work very well on some other stages, so like, that's a me problem, but I'm also kind of sad about it, so please be kind to Moray Towers. Some people actually enjoy this stage. Okay, now we gotta talk about game modes. Game modes are really the biggest piece of information that I was excited for, and I had some things that I was very pleasantly surprised about, some things that I actually got right from my earlier predictions, and some things that I was very disappointed about. So we're just gonna dive into everything and break them all down. Starting off with Anarchy Battle, I really love that they changed ranked mode to Anarchy Battle because it just fits the vibe very well. The branding overall, like I think it's really cute. And I like that you can do ranked by yourself or with friends. That's going to be super fun. Now, they did mention that they're bringing over League again. And one thing that I'm confused about, and maybe I'm just misunderstanding, is League like just for teams? And Anarchy, like, you can play with your friends, but they might not be on your team? Because I don't really understand why they need to have these two modes if they're going to be, like, the same mode. So if anybody knows this, please let me know, because I am very confused about this. Also, there will be an X battle mode in the future. Yeah, we can just move on from that. I'm almost certainly never going to make it to X rank. I will try. I will try my best. I think the best I've ever gotten on Splatoon 2 was, like, A. So, we're probably never going to get to X rank. I don't need to worry about this. But I do want to mention that within all of these different modes, they're only going to have the 4 ranked modes from Splatoon 2, which I am a little bit bummed out about, y'all. I'm kind of bummed out about it. But I really hope that they do add some more in the future. And I'm wondering if maybe they're just, like, polishing some other modes and they're going to release them maybe, like, at the end of the year or maybe sometime next year. I don't really know, but I am just a little bummed out that like 50% of the ranked modes I don't really love. I guess I'll break them down. I don't really love splat zones because I find it to be really irritating. It's like the worst parts of turf war, basically, like having everyone condensed into one area, and I just find some people to be really insufferable in this mode. And I also don't really love Rainmaker. I don't know. It's just annoying. Like, I never really found it to be super fun. When you have the Rainmaker, it's like the most fun. And when you don't have the Rainmaker, I feel like I get splatted all the time. Maybe I'm just not good at it and that's why I don't like it. That's fine. If that's the reasoning, I will accept if other people like these modes. But personally, my favorite is Clam Blitz. That's super fun. I get frustrated at it sometimes, but when people talk hate on Clan Blitz, I'm like, get good. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's fun. No, I'm just kidding with that. Obviously, everybody can have their own opinions, and if you don't like it, that's fine. But personally, I love Clan Blitz. And actually, Tower, I will say Tower is probably the most widely loved of all the modes, is if my guesses are accurate, I guess. I would say that, like, I haven't really met anybody who hates Tower. I think I've met some people who like it a little less than other modes, but I don't think I've ever met anybody who straight up hates Tower. It's super, super fun. And I always like to go beyond the tower because I just am that person. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm a very aggressive player, but I'm also like, I don't like to always just splat people. I like to play defensively. That's why I play with rollers. But it's very good in tower. It's very much that kind of vibe. And same kind of thing with Clam Blitz, I guess, because you have to go find the clams and then go to the other side. So I guess Rainmaker and Splat Zones are just a little too, like, just not working with my playstyle. That's fine. But I am a little bit bummed out that we don't have any new modes, and I do hope that we do get some new ones in the future. Hopefully some that also work to my playstyle so that I have at least a majority of the games that I like and not a minority, because that would be a little bit sad. Briefly, I'm going to mention Table Turf Battle. I think this is a silly mode. I think this will be really fun actually when you're on like a losing streak and you're just really frustrated and you're like, I want to play this game again soon, like in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, but I just need a break because mentally I'm at my wit's end. This is a great time to go play Table Turf Battle, I think. Especially, you know, I'm gonna say especially if you were playing ranked and you're like, I don't have the energy for turf, this is a great game to play. So I definitely am looking forward to trying it out, but I don't think this is going to be like a super time consuming mode. Like, I'm not going to play it all the time. I don't think anyone is, but I do think people will play it. I think it'll be supported and it'll be a fine game mode, but I don't think it's going to be like the #1 mode of all time. So Salmon Run, on the other hand, could be the best game mode. I love Salmon Run. I think a lot of people love it. And I am so excited, of course, that it's going to always be available. And I'm also really excited about some of the changes that they've made. I talked about some of the changes that were previously announced in my earlier video, but I did want to mention the King Salmonids that are like the big dudes who show up like at the end of the match. I am so glad that they are optional and you don't have to beat them, because I definitely could see it being like crazy frustrating if it was an all or nothing kind of thing and you and your friends like barely made it out alive. You were doing great. This King Salmonid shows up and it wipes you out in the first like 5 seconds, or you get it to like really low health and then it just destroys you or you run out of time or whatever. So I am very glad that this is like timed. It's optional. If y'all are bad at it, you don't lose everything. I cannot imagine if they didn't do it that way. So thank you to the Splatoon team for thinking that through and making it really user-friendly. Also, I predicted the zombies mode. It's called Big Run in this game, and I mean, it's like not actually having zombies, it's still salmonids, but I'm just so excited for this mode. I mean, I have to guess like that's what this mode is. Maybe there are some other components to it too, but it sounds like it's only going to happen like maybe once a season, which is kind of sad because I really want to play this mode a lot. I am a huge zombies person when it comes to shooters. I have played several shooters in the past. I always prefer like zombie modes because I just like, you know, fighting through a big wave of zombies for a really long time and spending hours doing it. But my guess is the reason why they don't have this on all the time is just because they think it would be too many different modes and people wouldn't, you know, play like some of the modes as much and it would cause really long wait times. So my guess is they did this just to kind of balance the game lobbies and make sure that there are always enough people in the various different modes. Next up, I'm just going to briefly say I don't have anything to say about single player. I'm so sorry. Again, if you watched my earlier video, you would know I'm not really a single player person. I am going to give it a shot. I will promise that, and I will give a review based off of my trial of it, at least. I mean, maybe I'll really love it and I'll finish it and then I'll do a review, but I will at least give my first thoughts on it. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, but it is what it is. We'll just see when the game comes out. And finally, for game modes, we have the Splatfest. I am so excited that it's coming back, and I am so excited for the first Splatfest on August 27th. I did go and download pretty much immediately the little like demo thing for the Splatfest, so I am very, very much looking forward to this. It's going to be super fun, and I'm glad that they're doing a Splatfest, which I'm sure is like for networking purposes. They want to just make sure that the internet is sustainable and all that stuff before the game comes out. Make sure there are no like huge bugs or anything. And I think it's very smart because people are super hype about Splatfest, so it's a great way to get people to come over before the game comes out. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention about the Splatfest is the Tricolor Splatfest, which I'm not gonna say I called it 100%. I called like 75% of it, I guess. A little funny joke there because I said that there could be 4 team Splatfests. Well, not Splatfest, but just a mode of like 4 teams for turf. And this is like similar. It's not exactly the same. It's 3 teams and it's just for Splatfest. But there are, I think, 4 different like bases on maps. I don't know. I might have misunderstood that, but there are 3 teams. So I am going to consider that a 75% win on my part and a 25% wishful thinking on my part. I think that it's going to be super fun to have 3 different teams to choose from. I think it's going to be really interesting too if they can like balance the teams out a little bit more, because I know that was one issue of some of the Splatfests in Splatoon 2, that some of the teams were like super unbalanced. Like, I don't have any specific numbers, but let's say it was like an 80-20 or like a 70-30. That can make a really big difference. And I think that it'll make things a little more well balanced. I like that they're gonna have both the traditional Splatfest, you know, turf war kind of mode, and then the tricolor mode, so that there's always kind of a chance for you to make a comeback and it's not just going to be like complete domination. And I have nothing but good things to say. I think they've only made Splatfest better. And speaking of Splatfest, the teams for the Splatfest are of course correlated to our new idols. So Deep Cut is the new like idol group, and I am so excited to see them in action. I want their music. I always love the Splatoon music, as pretty much every player does. And I am very curious to see what their personalities are like. Saying that, Fry, they really did her dirty by giving her the world's largest 5 head of all time. I am so sorry to this little baby over here, but she has a ginormous head and I cannot get over it. It makes me uncomfortable. So Fry is not my favorite. I am so sorry if anybody does really like Fry, but from what I've seen, she is probably the least favorite member. That's okay. There always has to be a least favorite. So at least she's the least favorite. We've acknowledged that and we can move on. Shiver actually looks super cool though. She is just so aesthetically pleasing. I don't know how to word it otherwise. Like, she's just really cool and I'm so excited to see more of her. I think that the dynamic between Shiver and Fry is going to be really nice. And then Big Man, I mean, he's a big man. What more is there to say? I stan him. He is very obviously the favorite of everybody. I mean, of course, yeah, some people love Shiver, and I guess some people love Fry, but Big Man, come on. Alright, so wrapping up the video, I want to talk about some miscellaneous items. There are a whole bunch on my list, but I'm going to kind of run through them pretty quickly and just give some little thoughts and opinions on each of them. I of course have to mention the locations in this game. We have the Splatlands and we have Splatsville. And I think that both have a lot of potential for really cool maps. We've already seen some little images and some clips from maps within these locations, but I think that as they build out some more new maps, there are going to be some really cool kind of aesthetics that they can pull from, and I'm just really excited to see them build out this world even more, because like, my experience is just in Inkopolis, and I really can't wait to see them, grow new locations and tie this whole world together and make it more of a like cohesive location building, I guess. I don't really know how to word it, but I'm super excited. I think it looks really cool. As far as gameplay goes, we also got some new movement mechanics. So we got the Squid Surge, which is a like climbing up a wall move where you can like do a surge and you go up really fast. But my kind of concern about this is like, how slow is it to charge up? Because would it just be faster to like quickly tap the jump button? I don't really know. We have to see, I guess. But I felt like it looked a little bit slow in the direct. So we'll just have to see within the gameplay itself. The squid roll, though, looks very, very cool. I really like that you can, quickly pivot from one direction to another. I think that's going to be really useful in dodging some different specials or just different people popping out of nowhere. And I also like that you can deflect ink while you're doing the squid roll. That is going to be so helpful in dodging people who are like maybe around a corner, and you can just roll right back. They, still might usually get some ink on you, but with this new technique, they're not going to, and it's going to be a little more easy to make a getaway and go reconvene in a different area, get your health back, and then jump back in. The changes to the lobby also look really awesome and I think are really smart ideas. It is such a pain in Splatoon 2 when you're waiting for a lobby and it takes so long, and the only thing you can do is just listen to music. But I love that you can do the test range. I love that you have your friends' ghosts around. I just really appreciate all of these little aspects, and I must mention the lockers. I think the lockers are kind of cute, but personally, I think they're not going to be updated all that often unless they have really cool items for you to put in them. So that's why I really think they are going to have a lot of crossover items or just a lot of really unique items and stickers and outfits and weapons and just like cool looking things that you want to put in your locker. I think it will be a lot cooler than what it kind of looked like on the direct, but I'm just gonna wait and see. I know once I have my locker set up, I will be hard pressed to want to change it unless I have a good reason. Also, battle replays, so helpful, so helpful. Every YouTuber who does Splatoon content is like breathing a sigh of relief that now you can just have all of these battles recorded. So if you're playing on the go, you can still use it as B-roll footage, and everybody is thrilled about this. I know I am. I think that this is also going to be really helpful for competitive play because, competitive players, they might get splatted in a weird way and be like, how did that even happen? They can go back and watch it. Or they can kind of see like how they did with certain weapons versus others, maybe variations on the same type of weapon, but they just want to see like, why did I do better with maybe a more basic weapon, things like that. And they can kind of evaluate it and learn from their mistakes and then grow as players. And I mean, regular players can do that too, but we're not going to have the time to do all that, I'm sure. So competitive players are definitely going to take advantage, and content creators are also going to take advantage. As far as customization goes, I love the overall customization within this game from what I've seen. I really like the splash tags, and I also like the emotes. I don't have a lot to say, but I do really appreciate that they're trying to make things feel a little more individualistic so that you can stand out a lot more and not just be kind of like one of 5 predetermined looks like it is in Splatoon 2, where you don't really have as much personality. As far as mailbox and artwork kind of stuff goes, I am not really going to use it because I'm not super artistic, but I think it's crazy awesome for the people who do these like really intricate, incredible art pieces to have more options within this game. I cannot wait to see some like masterpiece level stuff in some random map and just be like, wow, some actual person did this. They are incredible. To everybody who actually does art within Splatoon, thank you for like expanding my mind. I had no idea all of this stuff was possible with such like limited tools. So thanks for just doing an awesome job. Now, Grab and Go, I did have some mixed feelings about this. I think it's cool that you can play with some additional power-ups. I think that'll be really helpful for people just starting out, but I do think it could be really exploited. I hope that it's kind of pricey to get power-ups because I really don't want people to just go into every match with a power-up. I think it could potentially like really tip the scales and make people play better than really what they should be playing. I don't know. I always feel a little bit hesitant about these kinds of like boosts. Even if there are kids who play the game and they might need a little bit of extra help, it's not just limited to kids. You know, there are people who are really good who are probably going to take these extra, you know, upgrades and go into games and just kind of destroy people. As long as it is balanced, I'm okay with it. But as soon as it starts becoming unfun on a regular basis, that's when I think they need to limit it. I don't think I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about stages, but I think it's really great that they're going to have a recon mode so that you can kind of learn the different maps, especially because with Splatoon 1 having a bunch of maps come over and Splatoon 2 also having a bunch of maps come over, there might be some people who have only played one or the other, and it's kind of unfair if you throw someone into a battle with like a bunch of people who already know these maps and you don't know them and you just immediately get splatted from like a really weird location, or you die in the water or things like that. So I'm really happy that they're going to have this recon mode so you can kind of learn things a little bit better. But I mean, it's kind of standard in a lot of games. I'm just happy that they do have it. All right, now we're getting back to Splatnet. What is the Wandercrust tour and what is the point of this? Does anybody know? Because I really could not figure it out or wrap my head around it. Like, it doesn't seem to give you anything. It just seems like you're dumping points into nothing. And like, why? Just why? I don't understand. I do really love that you can see your stats on Splatnet, but otherwise I really don't know what the point of this app is. It, again, kind of feels like Nintendo wanted to do something with the app and they're like, okay, we're just gonna have to add stuff to the app, so what can we add? They weren't like, oh, I have this good idea for something to add to the app. All right, and then the final thing everybody is so excited for. We can skip the news. We can skip the news. We can skip the news. We can just skip the news. I don't know that I have been more excited for a Splatoon 3 feature ever. Or even just about any video game feature. I am thrilled that we do not have to sit through however many minutes, it's like a minute and a half or 2 minutes or whatever, of hearing about the maps and the modes and all of that. And instead, we can just load up, we can click the button, yeah, I just want to see it as a podcast. And then you don't have to watch it. You can just read about it. You can just jump right in. You could start up a match before the podcast would even be over. I do not know why they never did this in Splatoon 2. I honestly don't know. Maybe it was just too difficult after they like put it in and they were like, I don't know how we're gonna take it out. So they just decided to leave it. And I mean, at this point, why would you take it out? There's a new game. But yeah, it was a bad move. It was not a good move. So thank you to the Splatoon team for listening to your fans. You actually listened. So that is everything I have to say about the new Splatoon 3 information. Thank you so much for watching. If you have anything to add to the conversation, I would love to hear it down below. I will make sure to reply if there's anything that I have to say. And be sure to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. I am so excited to continue making Splatoon content in the future. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.